Hare Krishna. So this is Canto 7, Chapter 14, and the chapter entitled is Ideal Family Life. So here, Narada is telling to Yudhishthira Maharaj the so many wonderful instructions which offer the following life. So we have seen that how the before verses, there's so many instructions in terms of how one should remain detached even while being a householder. We discussed that he explained that how one should give up the ownership for any kind of household paraphernalia, and also went on explaining that how including wife, kids, everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. And then also how a householder should take care of all the living entities, like even the animals also, they should be taken care. And then we also talked about how the householder should receive the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and offer them prashadam. We say that through them he can satisfy the Supreme Lord. So that also was very nicely explained there. And then he also described that how this Shadam should be uh, distributed to, this is the 14th verse. Yeah, it says that next is last meeting. He says, God is the to the mouth of Brahmana. Then 18th, by taking first offer prashadam to the Brahmanas and the demigods, and after sumptuously feeding them, you may distribute prashadam to other living entities also, according to your ability. So prashadam should be distributed to everyone that way. So householders also should distribute prashadam for. In this way, you will be able to worship all living entities, or in other words, the supreme living entity within the living deity like that. Hare Krishna. So, and then in this section of text 19, he is talking about how the Shraddha should be performed also by the Grihasthas. And depending upon his capacity, when is sufficiently rich, must offer oblation to the forefathers. A lot of details are mentioned about Shraddha. So one thing you can see that how the Prabhupada also gives a very elaborate purport, giving so many Shastri injunctions about how the Shraddha should be performed, on which day and which day it should not be performed, and what are the rules and regulations. Everything is so much vividly described also. So after reading this, sometimes we may become a little scared that how so many ways of so many injunctions are there. So yes, it is there because ultimately what scriptures want us, they want us to feel responsible for all other aspects of life. So there are so many etiquettes or Vedic injunctions, which is everybody is obligated to them. Like that verse is there, Devarshi Bhutapna Ninam Pitranam, that one. So there also says that how so many obligations are there. So there is a debt, which everybody is having. So debt towards devas, the demigods, debt towards rishis, sages, and then bhutat, that means the debt towards the living entities. And then apta, apta is relatives, bhutapta. Then nidam, the debt towards the human beings. And pitrana, the debts towards the forefathers. So like that, there are so many debts, everybody is organized. Because as soon as we take birth in this world, because we are so much given by so many all these faculties. So naturally we are indebted, like that. So as soon as we take birth, our debt keeps increasing only, because parents take care, and there's so many living entities, like cow gives us milk, and there's so many living entities are there to facilitate our living in this world. So towards them, also relatives also, they say that it takes the entire village to raise a child. So all the relatives, because there's so many ceremonies without relatives, one may not able to perform them also. towards relatives also, Apta. And then Ninam, other human beings also, we are indebted. And then says, Pitranam, forefathers also, because of forefathers, we have certain culture, tradition with these. And so like that, we are indebted to all these living beings, all these faculties, they are indebted. So as when we take birth, that keeps increasing on. So now Shastra, Vedas talk so many injunctions to actually so that one feels indebted and one tries to repay them back. So that is that's why Vedas want us to not fail to recognize that how he is getting so many favors from so many faculties like this, so many favors we are getting. So Shastras always remind us. Jai Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha ki jai, Bhagavan Jai ki jai, Shri Raghunath Bade Prabhuji ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So Shastras, they want us to be responsible and not be ungrateful to whatever favors we are getting. That's why so many procedures are given. So one should do them as a matter of gratitude to all this whatever we are getting from. And it is mentioned, Srila Prabhupada also has mentioned in many places that, but when somebody becomes a pure devotee, like this verse itself, it says, Devarshi Bhutatma Ninam Pitanam, Na Kinkaro Nayam Drini Charada. सर्वात्मना शरणम शरण्यम तम गतो मुकुंदा परिहरति kartam. So it says, but if somebody surrenders to Supreme Lord, somebody becomes a pure devotee, so then he's automatically he's actually he's already paid the debts of all. That means he's no longer obligated to any. That is how the Shastra explained this comes in 11 canto. So that means that if somebody takes full shelter of the Lord and serves the Lord, then all these faculties, all these divinities, all these personalities, they all are satisfied. Actually, all divinities are satisfied by such a person who becomes a pure devotee. क्या होगा? नहीं, अभी आधा हो गया क्लास में. So I was saying that, so that's how the Shastras say that we are already repentant. But one disclaimer that one has to surrender to Supreme Lord also. So that's why, like sometimes somebody may not do certain activities or duties. In the name of that, I become a devotee. But the point is, there's a responsibility that we take shelter of the Supreme Lord also. And we, prioritize our life to serve and please the Supreme Lord. But whether the devotees may also follow all these rules and regulations or not. So our acharyas have given what are the Vaishnavas ways we can follow these beliefs. Like if this was Shraddha, so there is Vaishnava acharyas have told how a Vaishnava can perform Shraddha. The Prabhupada also has written some letters that the devotee may observe the Shraddha ceremony, but then there is a Vaishnava way also to do it. So we may not sometimes exactly follow the Karma Kanda way to do these all ceremonies. So there are so many details, karma kandic details are there. But as devotees, we may not do that. We may still observe them for the sake of respecting those injunctions, respecting those traditions. Devotee may do that. Though a devotee is not obliged to do that. So Prabhupada says that for the Shraddha also, a pure devotee doesn't, or devotee of the Lord who is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, he is not obliged to follow this. Because just by chanting Hare Krishna Mantra, just by engaging in devotional service of the Lord, so many forefathers are getting rewarded. In fact, it's that all the forefathers are dancing in ecstasy. Somebody is, when Vaishnava has taken birth in my family, in our Kula, and they're all dancing because they all get related. Like that. So there is no need that way. But still you find that there's so many personalities, they did perform Shraddha, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he went to Gaya and he performed Shraddha for his father. But then when he sees Ishwar Puri, then he says that just by seeing you, all the millions of forefathers are delivered. By doing Shraddha, I may, some forefathers may get it. But just by getting your darshan. You have taken your darshan. So millions of Gopalas have reviewed just like that. So this principle one should know. We don't get confused by this very intention that, oh, if I don't do, then I'm missing something, or I have some fear. Oh, I may get some sin. No, sometimes some kind of fear may be there. But the devotee should be fully convinced. No? There is nothing that way for the devotee, because devotee is completely under protection of the Lord. No? Sarvadharman Pratyajna, Mamekam Sharanam Pratyajna, Sharanam Aham Tvam Sarvapapim. So when you take shelter of the Lord, so there is any discrepancy, then Lord fully protect the devotee. And a devotee doesn't need also, as I said, doesn't need also, because his only obligation, he's fully surrendering to the Lord. So all his obligations are already clear. Like that. He doesn't need any other obligation. He's not obliged to anything else like that. So why it is told like this? It is not that some kind of irresponsibility is entertained by this. No, because it is in the light that highest responsibility of all of us is to actually take shelter of the Lord and go back to God. There is no other duty actually. This is a message of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam clearly says that the only duty of every living entity is to love and serve the Supreme Lord. There is no other obligation. There is no other duty. So in the light of that duty, if somebody is signing up for that, then why should he, then there is no other duty actually for that person, correctly. But Vedas also give us this direction so that those people, because majority are not surrendering to the Supreme Lord, so they should actually learn the lessons of being responsible also, because that will eventually take them gradually to then recognize that how ultimately the Supreme Lord is getting all favors through so many living all this. So ultimately, let's say somebody may feel grateful to the parents. Parents are given birth and all that. But then there are many parents, even though husband and wife are there, but they will not get child. There may be some whatever reasons, they will not get child. So the parents themselves cannot get child. They cannot beget the child. They need the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So mercy of the Supreme Lord is required. So Karmana Deva Netra. So that is how it is. So everything what we are getting ultimately, who the benefactor? The Supreme Lord only, ultimately. So that's how a devotee can see. But an ordinary person may not able to see that. So at least he has to recognize there is somebody above him. There are some favor which he is receiving from. Without that, he is simply like an animal only. So he has to become at least, come on the normal human platform. That is recognize that I am getting so many favors from so many divinities. And that's why there are so many yagyas are described. This yagya, that yagya, as household should do. So he recognizes that I am not independent. I am not having a license to just independently enjoy gratification like animals. So that's why this kind of injunctions are there, regulations are there. So that he is at least coming on the platform of being human. And then as his perspective broadens, then he understands, oh, ultimately all these favors are coming from Supreme Lord only. And then he can have his gratitude for the Supreme Lord also, like that. And as he becomes more and more devoted to the Supreme Lord, then he's automatically freed from all these applications. Because all of them, all other faculties are automatically satisfied when you are surrendering to the Supreme Lord like that. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so that's why one should not have that fear, when we are taking shelter of the Supreme Lord that way. At the same time, if somebody is, we don't also abruptly discourage somebody to give up their some kind of responsibility what they will be doing, because they may not be taking shelter of Krishna. We may give them option to take shelter of the Lord, but sometimes they are not. So in general for society, we unnecessarily don't disrupt those traditions. Like if you see, Arjuna also was concerned about this point. Arjuna was saying that, oh, if this all this, my relatives and all they will be killed, then there will be, the destruction of the family traditions. Shraddha and all will not be offered, oblations will not be offered. He was concerned about it. Because in general for society, a devotee does not encourage, he does not encourage irresponsibility also. So that's why, in fact, sometimes he may also follow those etiquettes. He may also respect those rituals, like many kings would do. We see that. They also do that just so that the in general society remains responsible, like that. But when they are doing those rituals, they're not feeling that obligation to demigods, and like they actually feel obliged to Supreme Lord only. completely. And they see, yeah, they're also in between instruments, so they respect them. You know? But they do it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. You know? Like it is mentioned also when Prithu Maharaj will perform yajnas, you know, even though there will be some respects and offerings to our demigods there, but you only see the demigods as the limbs of the Supreme Lord. So that's how their offering is in that sense. They're in the mood to worship the Supreme Lord, like that it is. So this understanding should be clear. And as devotees, we should know that we have got greatest favor. And the greatest favor what we have got, not only just because we are getting the heat and light and we have got some nice pulla and not like this because we have got some some Vedic literatures, or the relatives and all that those who have taken care of us or whatever. So yes, we have got all these favors, but the greatest favor what we have got, especially when we become devotee, is that we have got a spiritual master. That is the most fortunate thing what we have got. And we have got the holy name of the Lord. And we have got the bona fide satisfaction of the good spiritual master is connecting us to bona fide satisfaction. So this is the greatest gift what we have got. Actually, all other gifts we have received, and one should be grateful and one may feel obligated to them. But the thing is, those things are ultimately, for our some kind of progressive life in material world only. Many times, it is seen in that light because okay, you are getting food, you are getting some nice health, but you can do some pious activities by that. So basically, dharma the kaum, and that light many times those things are seen. Because by so many karma kanda ceremonies, one can feel, one can try to clear those debts to mention like that. But actually, for a devotee, he feels indebted to what he has got the highest gift, which is the gift of holy name, gift of spiritual master. So that kind of indebtedness a devotee feels, and that's how he doesn't divert his attention to any other thing, because he clearly sees even other thing what we have got also is by the mercy of Supreme Lord, I explained before, right? So that's why a devotee only concentrates his all attention in fulfilling his the highest duty, that is towards Supreme Lord, and trying to pay back that debt what you have got from the spiritual master, the gift what you have got from the spiritual master. Jai Shri Radha Gopal ki jai. But amazingly, you see in Kumara section, when the Prithu Maharaj glorifies Kumaras, so there he mentions that now I'll read this, it's very good. Yes. It says that great personality of the material world are very eager to render welfare service to human society. But actually, no one can render better service than one who distributes the knowledge of spiritual realization in relation with the Supreme Personality of God. So many people have rendered service to us, so we feel indebted. But the highest service what is rendered is by the sages, those who distribute the Vaishnavas, those who do this service of giving this spiritual knowledge to us. So all living entities are within the clutches of illusory energy, forgetting their real identity, their hovering material existence, transmigrating from one body to another in search of a peaceful life. Since these living entities have very little knowledge of self-realization, they are not getting any relief, although they are very anxious to attain peace of mind and substantial happiness. Saintly persons like Kumaras, Narada, Prahlad, Janaka, Sukdev Goswami, Kapil Dev, as well as the followers of such authorities as the Vaishnava Acharyas and their servants can render valuable service to humanity by disseminating knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality God and living entity. Such knowledge is perfect benediction for humanity. Then it says, knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefit. Now here, those debts, by which we get all these material favors, it is enjoying the scripture that one should try to repay the debt. One should try to clear off those debts, and there are certain ways to do it. Like it is said for a Brahmana, he has a debt towards his father also. What is that? That he has to beget the child. That's how he can repay his debts to his father and forefather. I also mentioned there one of the debts. So now If he does that religiously, then he's paid off that debt. Like that. Same way Shraddha he does, he can pay off. But what he's saying here, the knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay their benefit. So this debt we cannot even pay also. Cannot even attempt to pay back. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj is saying, requesting the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of man. So you be satisfied with your own benevolent activities, what you're doing. Because I cannot repay back this debt. We cannot repay that debt. That's what he says here. How can such a person who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality Godhead, and whose explanation are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be accepted by, be repaid, except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. So he says, therefore, Prithu Maharaj requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. The word Vinodapatram can be divided into two parts, Vina and Udapatram, or can be understood as one word, Vinodapatram, which means joker. A joker's activity is simply arouse laughter, and a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughing stock, just like a joker, because it is impossible to repay such debt. That means what? You try to pay back, but you still remain indebted only. You can never, repay that debt fully. Then what is the way then? What to do? Because okay, I cannot repay back, then I just in my own. No, it's not. The point is, the debt is so big that we have to just give our life. We have to give everything to spiritual master. It is so big debt. So we can give, and not only one life, we have to give life. This is in Yakshudan Durajay, Janme Janme Prabhu. So Janme Janme Prabhu, because he has given me this transcendental knowledge. So I wish to serve him life after life. No? So that because he has given Deepika and Prakash, he has done that for us. So that's why this debt is actually not repayable, and that means that we have to give life after life, to the service of spiritual master. And actually, even Supreme Lord also feels like this. For you remember any incident where Lord also feels like that kind of indebtedness to some of his devotees. You remember? Huh? Yeah. So what he says. Yeah, correct. So that is Lord also feels like that. So I'll just exactly quote that. Yeah, it says that is the verse na pariyeham nirvadya samjujam sasadhu krityam viddudhyasahapirivaha yamavajan durajya geha sankarshankara samraschitadva pariyatu sadhuna. So he says, oh gopis, I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service. Even within a lifetime of Brahma. That means he will never able to repay back. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. Same way, right? Lord also is saying for the devotees like this. See that? The devotee is obligated to the Lord that way, and the Lord also is obligated to the devotees this way. So this is how it is. And then here is very beautiful. It says, so now whatever affection we see the gopis show for their own bodies, know it for certain to be only for the sake of Lord Krishna. I have offered this body to Lord Krishna. He is its owner and it brings him enjoyment. That's how gopis think. And then he says, there is another wonderful feature of the emotions of the gopis. It's beyond his power is beyond the comprehension of the intelligence. Now they see, listen this. When the gopis see Lord Krishna, they derive unbounded bliss. The gopis see Lord Krishna, they derive unbounded bliss. Although they have no desire for such pleasure. They are not desiring pleasure. But when they see Krishna, they get unbounded bliss. The gopis taste a pleasure 10 million times greater than the pleasure Lord Krishna derives from seeing them. The wonderful characteristics of the gopis are beyond imagination. They have no desire for personal satisfaction. Yet, when Krishna is happy by seeing them, that happiness of Krishna makes the gopis million times more happy than Krishna himself. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. That is indeed a contradiction. It's a contradiction. For this contradiction, I see only one solution. The joy of the gopis lies in joy of their beloved Krishna. So this is how the bhakti works. So more one satisfies the beloved, the more his joy increases. Like that. So that means when a devotee is trying to give his life to Krishna for his satisfaction, and so that way the joy of the devotee keeps on increasing unlimitedly also. So it is not that kind of indebtedness where like how like here, when our devotees come, so much loan is there. So that debt actually gives them chakkar. It is so painful. And you try to repay that debt is so strugglesome. There is no juice there. There is so much of trouble. But this debt is not like that. Actually, the relationship is of love. The relationship is of love. That's why and that's the nature of love. When there is a relationship of love, there is a sense of indebtedness. One always feels indebted. That feeling of indebtedness is there. Like some glimpse we can get when the child may feel indebted towards mother, like that. Some in middle life also we can see some kind of pleasantness there. When there is indebted, like when he feels grateful for what mother has done, so then there is some kind of pleasantness also, right? It is close to what we can feel in. We can see it happens in relationship of love between the Lord and his devotees. So he says the situation of the gopis is perplexing. Although they did not want personal happiness, it was imposed upon them. Solution to this perplexity is that Sri Krishna's sense of happiness is limited by the happiness of the gopis. Devotees at Vrindavan therefore try to serve the gopis. Okay, that's right. This is when Lord Krishna sees the gopis, his joy increases, and his unparalleled sweetness increases also. So Krishna sees the gopis, and his joy also is increasing. So Krishna has obtained so much pleasure by seeing me that thought increases the fullness and beauty of their faces and bodies. The beauty of Lord Krishna increases at sight of the beauty of the gopis. And the more the gopis see Lord Krishna's beauty, the more their beauty increases. In this way, competition takes place between them, in which no one acknowledges defeat. Or both are defeated by each other's love. Krishna, however, derives pleasure from the beauty and good qualities of the gopis, and the gopis sees pleasure, the joy of the gopis increases. So their joy depends upon each other's joy. So therefore, we find that joy of the gopis nourishes the joy of Lord Krishna. For that reason, the fault of lust is not present in their love. And then he says, so another symptom of the gopis' love is that there is no trace of lust. The love of the gopis nourishes the sweetness of Lord Krishna. The sweetness in turn increases their love for their greatly satisfied. So see this point. It says the happiness of the abode of love. Who is the abode of love? Krishna. The happiness of abode of love is in the happiness of the object of that love. That means the happiness of Krishna depends upon the happiness of his devotees. So Krishna enjoys, seeing devotees becoming happy. So this is Krishna is enjoyer. So actually that way Krishna is enjoyer. Krishna enjoys seeing devotees happy. So he wants to make his devotees more and more happy, and that's why he enjoys. And you can see also how Krishna is so benevolent. You see, Krishna takes pleasure in giving credit to devotees, in seeing devotees glorified. Like he is making Arjuna the hero of the whole battle. He is making Prabhupada. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is empowering Srila Prabhupada. You take the message of Lord Chaitanya, message of God, message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu maybe in India he did, but Srila Prabhupada he did all over the world. So that means who is glorified more that way? The Prabhupada's glory is kind of more he did than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But how it is? That is Lord Chaitanya's benevolence, that he wants to see that the devotee is glorified more. And that is how our Lord gets pleasure. So Lord's pleasure is in seeing devotees glorified, seeing devotees. That's why we say that worshipping a pure devotee is more pleasing to the Lord. When you worship the Lord. So what does it mean? That means that the pleasure of the Lord is in worshipping His devotees, in pleasing His devotees. So this is amazing. So wherever there is unselfish love, that is its style. The style is unselfish love. The reservoir of love derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. So reservoir of love, that is Krishna, derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. When the pleasure of love interferes with the service of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes angry with another fine. So the point what we are trying to understand is that this kind of indebtedness is actually the nature of love. Now, when we don't have that love, then this indebtedness comes forcefully in this world. I really understand that you are so much, getting favors from so many people. Be responsible, be grateful. You're getting like that. Same way to see a living entity at today morning Japada, no? Living entity is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, correct? It's completely under the control of the Lord. So that sense of control in spiritual world exists naturally out of love. The devotee is controlled by a complete Lord, and Lord is also controlled by devotees. There is out of love. But if that love is gone, when it comes in here, or it is forgotten, when it comes in this world, it's forced by the laws of materialistic control. Correct? So much control is there. Nobody is, everything like we have to birth, old age, disease, and death. Stringent laws are there. Prabhupada says stringent laws of material nature. You're completely under control. So if you don't voluntarily take that control out of love, then forced control is there. So much you can see. So actually, by surrendering to Krishna, what we get actually is we are assigning loving, that love. And all this, that here we see that I was saying the control or this feeling of indebtedness, it all exists. It all is there. But both, the Lord and divinities both actually relish that. It is very joyful, like that. In this world, all that indebtedness, that control, all that this kind of feelings are actually not very much pleasing. One feels great troubled by that. So that's why when we are trying to take shelter of Krishna, when we are trying to give our life and service to Krishna, though it may look very scary, it may look very scary. That how life after life I have to give myself to Guru, life after life to serve Krishna. And I have to surrender everything to Krishna. I have to sacrifice everything for Krishna. When we feel like that, but actually that is the nature of love. It looks like a forceful thing for us because we don't understand the nature of love. When that love is awakened, one automatically does that. No, he does that in this world also. Prabhupada says, when the husband comes to home, and then the kids and wives they come and take out all his money, and he says, "Oh, very nice, my wife is very nice, your kids are very nice." Prabhupada says, "This is how it happens." But in this world also. So naturally he does that, because they are the object of his love. Because it is not the real love, but some object of affection. So that's the nature of love. So when Krishna is saying, "Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja," so we feel scared, right? What is this? But actually, what Krishna is giving us that the joy of that relationship, like that. So that's why we have to know that all these injunctions are there. It is only to eventually come to the platform of loving Krishna. The purpose of this is this only. Because now we are not understanding. So it is just made to give us that sense of understanding. Okay, there are people above you. Be responsible. Don't live like an animal. And try to understand that how so many people are actually favoring you in your life like that. And as one follows that, and one follows the superiors, and pleases the Supreme Lord by following his intentions, respecting his intentions. Then, as he becomes more purified, then he also starts understanding, the Supreme Lord more. He can come to the path of devotion also. And then, when he, starts serving the Supreme Lord, the love is awakened. Then naturally he actually, fulfilling the desire of the Supreme Lord. So that way, then at that platform, he may not sometimes follow, or he is not obliged for all these kinds of things, because he's already having that relation for God. He's already fulfilling, already pleasing the Supreme God fully. So the people who are not on the path of devotion, at least they should please the Supreme God by fulfilling this intention, even though maybe on material God. But they may be doing it karma kanda, but also when they respect, some way they're pleasing the God. Because if they simply give up everything, then animal life, then it's like a gross thing. But as we were discussing earlier, that no, but in highest sense, anything when you are not doing for the presence of Lord becomes sin. That is in highest. But at least when somebody has not come to the path of devotion, then it becomes very obligatory. Because that is the only way you can at least respect the Lord, please the Lord, and then can gradually progress that way. So I'll pause here. If anybody has any comments or questions. Yes, bro.
Good class, very nice class. And the one thing that Prabhupada said about the household is, in the household that one, he said it before, one disciple got married and went to Prabhupada and said, what does it mean to be a good devotee household? And Prabhupada said, you go, when you cook prasadam, you go outside and you call 3 times. If anyone is hungry, let him please come and eat. And then the disciple said again, that he said, no, he wasn't satisfied. He said, what does it mean? He asked him again, and Prabhupada said that that's the same thing. And then the disciple asked him again, what does it mean to be a good household? He said, when you cook, when you're ready to eat, you go out and call before prasadam. Okay, if anyone is hungry, let him please come and eat. And that was his instruction. That's what it means to really the basic thing is, you know, you're a householder, but you're not in it for your sense gratification. There'll be some sense gratification there, of course, but that's not the purpose of married life. Purpose is to advance in Krishna consciousness, and for that you have to be renounced. And one of the first, you know, the most basic things about renunciation is eating. You cook something really good, and you're like, boy, it's going to be good. But before you eat it, if anyone is hungry, let him please come and eat. I tell you the truth, I've never seen any household do that.